What's good, everybody? It's Brandon B. We back, Elite Media. How you guys doing out there? Welcome. Another impromptu live. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to do these when I got time. I'm trying to be consistent with it. So appreciate everyone who's tuned in. Just dropped that video on Mona Leo. It's going crazy right now. Salute to all my new subscribers who came through off of that. Running the numbers up. Salute to y'all. It's a great video. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out. It's on my community post. I'm just talking about Black Americans, the understanding of how we see these new, artists or figures, however you want to say it, that are coming about. And they're out here trying to, push a line. And I think Black Americans were being much more strategic about, how we want to go about things and who we want to have representing us. And I did a really, really good in-depth video specifically talking about Mona Leo and just kind of what's been going on with her. So make sure you guys check that out. Salute to everybody who has checked out that video. All the new subscribers, man, appreciate you guys. I really do. So today we're gonna be talking about the MAGA civil war that's going on right now. Nick Fuentes versus Jdvance and Ben Shapiro. I love to see the enemy fight amongst themselves. This is just sweet poetic justice to me. I enjoy this type of stuff. It's a very, very great, entertaining thing to watch. And I can't get enough of it. Honestly, there's been a lot of things that all of these guys have said individually. And it's also interesting that now all of this has now come to bite each other, right? They're biting each other's faces off at this point. You know what I'm saying? And it's been a very interesting point of view, I would say, especially given the fact that we've heard so many people who have for so long. I mean, personally, like I said, since 2016, I've been seeing this rhetoric on YouTube specifically, how a lot of these conservative guys have gone out here, man, pushing the line, man, talking about how base they are and pushing it further until now you have a guy like Nick Fuentes and the Groypers who have now emerged as a real threat within the right wing. And so now we're all paying attention. We're all seeing this. We're all watching, right? We know what's going on. We're not stupid, right? So we're like, okay, cool. Let's watch and see what happens. And boom, just like I knew, now they're going against each other because Nick Fuentes just had an interview, right? He went on, excuse me. He went on Tucker Carlson's podcast. And that was a really big deal because a lot of people in the right wing felt like Nick Fuentes didn't deserve to be platformed by Tucker Carlson. And so Tucker Carlson basically going against the grain. And I mean, and I'm going to keep it honest with you, he does align with a lot of the things that Nick Fuentes does say and, and speak on. I think him going there and them having that interview, it really pissed off a lot of those people in the right wing. So them getting immediately upset about this, now you have, Nick Fuentes smashing the gas on everybody, right? And so, of course, I think there was already some, some tension between Ben Shapiro and also Nick Fuentes because, of course, Ben Shapiro is Jewish, right? And so Nick Fuentes is clearly he's very anti-Semitic, you know what I'm saying? He's the definition of that. And so I feel like he definitely does not like Jews. He has a huge problem with them, and he makes it clear that's how he feels. So I felt like that was already brewing, and I think now this is kind of like bowled over, and so Ben Shapiro is feeling some type of way about this. So I'm gonna let Ben speak for himself on this matter. So let's hear Ben. Let me close this off real quick. Let's hear Ben. Let's see what he has to say about this. All right.
Show we're going to cover one topic in depth. That topic is, I think, the most important thing happening in the country. It was a hot topic last week, but I wanted to take some time to really gather my thoughts and speak on it in coherent fashion, holistic fashion. That topic is the fragmentation of the political right. That fragmentation is being caused purposefully by a splinter faction of people led by a young man named Nick Fuentes.
All right. So listen, already right there, you can hear him already kind of speaking on the fact that Nick Fuentes is a problem for what he describes as his side of things, right? So, of course, he's already, like I said, setting the stage to let you guys know how he feels about how Nick Fuentes is creating a splint in the right wing currently, right? And so from my perspective, I think it's hilarious because, you know, Ben Shapiro, in my opinion, he aligns with what a lot of Nick believes, but he understands him being Jewish that he'll never be accepted by Nick. So he's already going to have a certain type of ideology to go against Nick. And I find it hilarious because Nick's going to smash the gas on Ben Shapiro, as he should. And I don't care because Ben Shapiro has said some very, very disparaging things about Black Americans. And I don't have real much time for Ben Shapiro because I already think he talks too much. But in the grand scheme of it all, Nick Fuentes has a point by smashing the gas on him because Ben Shapiro is an Israel apologist.
They call themselves the Groypers. They are white supremacists. They hate women, Jews, Hindus, many types of Christians, brown people of a wide variety of backgrounds, blacks, America's foreign policy, and America's Constitution. They admire Hitler and Stalin. And that splinter faction is now being facilitated and normalized within the mainstream Republican Party.
Now imagine a guy like Ben Shapiro who doesn't understand what's going on, right? He really doesn't understand white supremacy, right? Because if you understand white supremacy, then you will understand that white Christian nationalists do not like Jews. If you understand white supremacy in America, you would understand that white nationalists do not like Jews, Ben. All right. But guess what? You aligned yourself with the right wing because you thought you were protected. And a lot of Jews think this. A lot of Jews, like I said, they align with the right wing ideology, thinking that that will be their protection, not understanding white supremacy for real. And white supremacy is based in ideology that is anti-Jew. Okay. And so for this guy to be so silly and just, you know, like I said, willfully ignorant, guys, willfully ignorant. These guys play the game. They know what's up. They understand that this is what they, you know, the side that they're dealing with. They understand the blood that's on their hands when they're going over there, but they'll do it because what? White supremacy. Okay. So this guy, Ben Shapiro, I don't feel sorry for him, bro. I don't feel sorry for you guys. You guys knew what you were getting into. You knew the devil that you were dealing with. And now that you're surprised that Nick's so extreme. Yeah, right. Cry me a river.
The main agent in that normalization is Tucker Carlson, who is an intellectual coward, a dishonest interlocutor, and a terrible friend. And Tucker Carlson last week was aided, abetted, celebrated for normalizing Nazism within the Republican Party by the mainstay organization of the traditional right, the Heritage Foundation.
All right, so listen, like I told you guys, like this is something that Ben is just being willfully ignorant about, okay? He already knew, all right? He already knew that this was already happening, that there was an extreme element that was attached to the white wing of the United States government. And he was willfully okay with that while it benefited him. Now that it's not benefiting him, right? Now that he has no benefit, what happened? Oh, now it's a problem, right? Now it's an issue, huh? Now you can't stand it, right? Now everyone's not your friend anymore, right? Now everyone's turning on you, huh, Nick? Huh, Ben? What's going on, Ben? Help me understand what happened, dude.
Now, before we explain what's been happening, let's make one thing clear. This is not about free speech or cancellation. It was never about free speech or cancellation. Free speech has a definition: the right to speak free of governmental coercion. I believe in it, of course. I've always defended it. Criticism of bad speech is, in fact, just a form of free speech. Cancellation also has a definition: the banning of particular people, including people like Nick Fuentes, from platforms like X or Facebook. I believe that Nick Fuentes is odious and despicable, but I've never called for his cancellation. And in fact, I've called for his restoration.
All right, so look, he admits to himself that he already is kissing the ring of Nick. He was cool. He was all right with what he had to say when it was about Black Americans. He was okay when it was about everyone else, right? He was okay when Nick was attacking everyone else. But now that it was him, now that he understands that he's not part of the club, oh, now it's a problem, right, Ben? Oh, now it's an issue, huh? Now it's an issue. But before, when he was talking down on Black Americans, we was talking down on Asian people, we was talking down on Hispanic people, talking about ICE and all this other stuff, you was cool with that, right? But now that it's black, now that it's, now that it's on you, now that the rabbit's got the gun, now that he's actually getting some attention, and you can see that there is actual support growing behind him based on what? Charlie Kirk being taken out. So now what? That entire Turning Point community, all that base of those supporters are now wide open. And guess what? They're leaning closer and closer, getting more and more extreme and more radicalized by who? Nick Fuentes. And you wish that you had that. You want that same group that he's able to actually influence, Ben. And that's why you're mad about it. You're mad because he's actually doing what you want to do. Maybe that's what it is, huh?
To those services, despite the fact that I think he's odious and despicable. It is not cancellation to draw moral lines between viewpoints. In fact, we used to call that one of the key aspects of conservatism. It is not cancellation to refuse to signal boost Hitler's supporters like Nick Fuentes. It is not cancellation to criticize Tucker Carlson for rhetorically fluffing Nick Fuentes and other anti-American crackpots. It's not cancellation if you urge others to stop promoting those who rhetorically fluff Nazi apologists. Those are all elements of free speech. And anyone who says differently is lying to you, and lying for the most cynical reasons, to misdirect from their own defense of those Nazi apologists and their promoters.
Listen, like I told you guys already, he's running away from the fact that he was supporting everything he had to say prior until it turned the tables on him. If he's on the outside of now the tables where now Tucker Carlson is leaning more towards giving Nick Fuentes a platform, and you admitted yourself that you wanted him to get back his platform. Okay, well, guess what? Tucker gave him a platform and now you're mad. And like I said, you're mad because you wish that you were Nick. You want that same, edgy type of, shock value that Nick gets, and you don't get it. Because at the end of the day, they will never accept you, all right? Regardless of how conservative your values are, regardless of you and how rich you are, whatever, they will never accept you because they look at you a different way when it comes to Christian nationalists in America, bro. This isn't Israel. And a lot of these people are anti-Israel. So you as well aligning with Israel does not align with them. Mr. Shapiro.
The issue here isn't that Tucker Carlson had Nick Fuentes on his show last week. He has every right to do that, of course. The issue here is that Tucker Carlson decided to normalize and fluff Nick Fuentes, and that the Heritage Foundation then decided to robustly defend that performance. Those who criticize both Tucker and Heritage aren't canceling. They are quite properly drawing a moral line. So for those who don't understand what's going on, let's begin with Nick Fuentes. Now, as I mentioned, last week, Tucker Carlson had on Nick Fuentes. Fuentes is a 27-year-old man who's dubbed himself the leader of a movement called the Groypers. He has a large audience of alienated young white men in particular, and he's earned increased media attention over the course of the past few years, especially over the last year.
Listen, that's why they're mad. They're mad because Nick is gaining steam, even though there were suppressions. He was deplatformed, all this other stuff, and his hateful rhetoric is still resonating with the youth. Okay. And like I said on this channel, okay, I have a video on this channel that I dropped a couple months ago. And I asked the community, I said, is there something going on with the white men, white youth in America? And in my comment section, you can see it's filled with white men telling me to mind my own business. Don't talk about this. Don't talk about that. You're out of line. Blah, 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 blah. A whole section of them. Okay. So as I'm doing this research, I'm particularly intrigued by this, because it's not just what I'm saying, it's actually happening right now. We're seeing it every single day, whether it be a shooting, whether it be some crazy debate, whether some altercation. All right. Every single day, we are seeing white men out here losing it. Okay, because they're feeling some type of way about what's going on in this country. They're feeling some type of way about what they have to feel about, the white race being, the minority. They're losing their numbers. Okay, this is what they were talking about on Tucker's podcast. All right, they were talking about the white men becoming minorities and that's a problem. They feel some type of way about that. The numbers are dwindling in their community. Okay, while everyone else's numbers are growing, and also the mixed numbers are growing, meaning that there are more interracial relationships happening, right? So all this is happening. Nick is expressing this on Tucker's podcast, and like I said, it goes viral because guess what? They aren't the only white men who feel this way, and so this is resonating with that youth. And I made it clear in that video that I said there is something going on with white men in this country, specifically the youth. Okay. And the fact that no one is addressing this is why we are having the problems that we're having right now. That's why so many men are upset. Okay. And guess what? Nick represents a lot of them. All right. And it's more that representing him as Nick looks up to them as they look up to Nick than there are people who look up to Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is not relatable to these young white men who actually support Nick Fuentes, the Groypers, right? Whoever they call themselves, right? They don't resonate with Ben Shapiro because a lot of them do not like Jewish men. And I made it clear that is a part of white supremacy that Ben just doesn't understand in his small little mind. Okay? White supremacy that is based in American history. All right. White nationalism is anti-Jew. Okay. They do not support anything that has to do with Jews. All right. So there is an understanding that a lot of these people do not get. And Ben is one of them. He's so lost in his own white privilege and white supremacist mind state that he cannot see the writing on the wall, family. All right. Ben Shapiro is lost and he's bitter because, like I said, he wants that support that Nick is getting. He wants that because it's all a game to him. It's all power to him. He wishes that he had that, but now it's Nick, and Nick has, like I said, radicalized the base, right? To the point where now people are thinking that it was Groypers who was responsible for taking out Charlie Kirk. Bro, Ben, you're cooked, bro. There's nothing that you can really say because you're a hypocrite yourself, bro. They don't want you a part of the movement either.
Now, from Tucker Carlson's interview, you might have gathered that Fuentes has some borderline views on race, a peculiar obsession with what he calls organized Jewry, and a rather sad relationship with the female sex. But probably you came away thinking that, for the most part, Fuentes lives on the radical edge of normality. You think that if you watch the interview, because Tucker Carlson decided that it was important not only to host Fuentes, but to smooth over his views, water them down, and make them far more palatable to a normal audience.
All right, so look, he's getting mad because what they're doing is now they're packaging it up, guys. this is something that I saw a lot of other Black American creators talk about, is the mask is now coming off, right? The mask is off now, right? They can take the mask off and now they can package it, right? They can market it in a corporate way using Tucker's actual understanding of the media and his actual experience working in the news and in media. He will know how to flip and how to market a certain narrative to be able to be, like he said, easy for people to digest when it is hateful rhetoric. This is the integral details of propaganda, especially in white supremacist propaganda, that a lot of people do not understand, is the fact that it is so layered. They are able to use code and change the narrative by protecting one another through the platforms that they've created in the news and media. All right. This is happening all the time. We see it every single day, and he's speaking on it.
As we'll discuss in a bit, this is what Tucker Carlson does for a living. But back to Nick Fuentes. To understand just what Tucker did here, we must actually examine what Nick Fuentes says on his show, and has said for almost a decade, because he was asked precisely 0 questions about any of what you're about to see by Tucker Carlson. Nick Fuentes says women want to be raped.
A lot of women want to be raped. And when I say raped, I mean like, sounds bad when I say it like that. But there's like a lot of women that really want to, but also they have to pretend.
Nick Fuentes says that his followers should kill, rape, and die.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Raise your right hand. All right, everybody raise your right hand. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I will kill, rape, and die for Nicholas J. Fuentes.
All right, so these are just things that, he's been, saying on his show, man. His live streams are insane.
Nick Fuentes says that women are whores who shouldn't be in politics.
I will continue my crusade against women in politics. Because it's always like this, and it's so ironic. Women are like, I don't like, when you say, you have to affect the face. When you say to repeal the 19th Amendment, that offends me. That hurts my feelings. It's like, have you ever stopped and considered that maybe if you get offended, there's such a strong emotional reaction to political opinions you disagree with across the board? Maybe that's one of the reasons why you shouldn't be making political decisions.
Listen, this is who we're talking about, guys. This is who we're talking about here, okay?
I'm not attacking women. I'm attacking whores. You have no problems, right? I'm attacking whores. I'm attacking sluts, stupid, dirty bitches.
Whoa.
Nick Fuentes says that Jim Crow was actually better for black people.
It was better for them too, number one, but number two, who cares? Who cares? Enough with the Jim Crow stuff. Who cares? Oh, they had to drink out of a different water fountain. Big fucking deal. Oh no, they had to go to a different school. Their water fountain in that famous picture was worse. Who cares? Grow up, drink out of the fucking water fountain. It's water, it's the same. And even if it was bad, who cares? Who cares? It's better. It's better in general. We all agree it was better for them. It's better for us. Better in general.
Listen, man, this is what we do at Elite Media, man. We bring the receipts every single time, and this is who we dealing with, y'all. I don't try to go out of my way to false represent anyone or try to say something beyond what needs to be said. I let people speak for themselves. All right. Any video that I've ever dropped, anything that I've ever shown is always receipts attached. Okay. So the goal in mind is to continue, right? To just drop the receipts, man. I'll have my commentary here and there, but this is the people speak for themselves, man. These guys are ridiculous.
Fuentes says that white people are justified in being racist.
Reason that we talk about this, by the way, I know a lot of black people see this and they go, man, why are you always talking about black people, this and that? Because there just needs to be some shame here. Well, there's a few reasons. First, White people are every single bit justified in being racist. Every single bit justified, to the extent that that means going out of your way to avoid black people when you see them.
I I mean, this is literally the rhetoric of a lunatic, a guy who just has no life. Nothing ever good has ever happened to this dude, okay? Nothing but hateful rhetoric about stuff that, you know, that he just hopes that he wishes he could have had, you know.
Fuentes is a Hitler admirer and a Holocaust denier.
Buddy, it's Führer Friday. It is Hitler Friday. Shut up. It is Heil Hitler Friday, nigga. Heil Hitler, all my niggas Nazis.
Hitler was a pedophile and kind of a pagan. It's like, well, he was also really fucking cool. So, you know, time to grow up. We're not children anymore. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right, boys? Am I right? Let's go. He was also really fucking cool. It doesn't really sound correct to me. Wait a second. It takes 1 hour to cook a bag the cookies, and the smokestacks would project certain
to do a democracy.
I'm far more concerned about that than I am about even non-white people or mass migration. These people that are communing with demons and engaging in this sort of witchcraft and stuff, and these people that are suppressing the name Christ and suppressing Christianity, they must be absolutely annihilated when we take power.
This guy, I mean, this guy is crazy. Like there's a psychotic element to this person, and this is why it's a key component here that, you know, like I said, we're just going to keep playing receipts so you guys, he can speak for himself. I don't have to say anything. You just let Nick speak for himself. I don't have to say anything. I just let it play. Look at this crap.
This is God's country. This is Jesus's country. This is not the domain of atheists or devil worshippers or perfidious Jews. This is Christ's country.
Josh Hammer and Mark Levin, fuck these people. Like, deeply, seriously. All real Americans, if you are a real American, if you were born in this country, I don't even care who you are, what you are. If you are a real American that loves this country, you have generations in this country, your family or you fought for this flag, fought for the Constitution, fought for our church, fought for our civilization. For all of you, I say about Josh Hammer and Mark Levin and Laura Loomer, fuck them. Fuck them. Deeply, seriously, get them the fuck out of our country.
Nick Fuentes, it should be mentioned, despises Donald Trump and the MAGA movement as well.
Fuck.
I mean, obviously, like I said, but Ben has like such a huge, like a huge vendetta right now with I don't know, with Ben Shapiro. And I think it's very interesting because, like I said, they both share the same base, but the fact that Ben is just so jealous that Tucker platformed Nick. Now Nick is actually, like he said, they're taking him to the next level because they're trying to polish up. They're trying to polish it up for Nick. They want Nick to be able to get a little bit, you know, nicer around the edges so they can start pushing him out there. But Nick's just too radical, all right? He is, and it's going to get him in trouble.
Fuck you. Fuck you. You suck. You are fat. You are a joke. You are stupid. You are not funny. You are not as smart as you think you are. You are, and honestly, and if you watch my show, you know I've been very critical. I've never been this far. This just goes to show this entire thing has been a scam. When we look back on the history of populism in America, we are going to look back on the MAGA movement as the biggest scam in American history.
Oh my God, this is what happens. I told you guys, this is what happens every single time, okay? They all fall for it, just like we told them that they would, okay? We said, hey, don't take the bait. He's lying to you. He's not going to do what he says he's going to tell you that he's going to do. He's lying. He's been a liar, and they fell for it, and now everything sucks. Right now, it was the mile movement. It was all a lie. But if he would have been doing what you guys wanted to the T, you would have been so happy with the results, right? Hypocrites, man. Hypocrites right in your face.
History. And the liberals were right. The MAGA supporters were had. They were.
So, that right there is just a brief glimpse into the twisted mind of Nick Fuentes.
I told you guys, man, these guys flip-flopped as soon as shit got tough. All right? As soon as things weren't going their way, as soon as something happened that they weren't agreeing with Trump on, which he knew that they were going to do, okay? Y'all really thought that he was going to stop that war in Israel, and he lied to you. All right? He has too much invested with Netanyahu to ever make that something where he could just say, all right, we're done. But they bought into it, right? And Ben is on the opposite side of that. He supports Israel, right? So Nick, being Nick, anti-Jew, like I said, he smashed the gas on Ben Shapiro every time.
And there's plenty more where that came from. Of course, hours of it per day, in fact. And there's no doubt that Nick Fuentes has a lot of play these days. That's because the left, by moving into a politics of anti-white, anti-Christian, anti-male identitarianism, created its bizarro mirror image, a white pseudo-Christian incel identitarian movement dedicated to destroying the institutions of this country and replacing Americanism with something else. Nick Fuentes' philosophy is not fully formed. It's an incoherent stew of malignity. But that's where Tucker Carlson enters the story. Now, since his exit from Fox News in 2023, when, of course, he was a very, very popular host, Tucker Carlson has turned himself into a conspiracist and a crank and a pathological liar. Tucker excuses Vladimir Putin's murderous and barbarous reign. He has even become one of his most ardent defenders.
It is so much nicer than any city in my country. I had no idea. My father spent a lot of time there in the 80s when he worked for the U.S. government and barely had electricity. And now it is so much cleaner and safer and prettier aesthetically. Its architecture, its food, its service, than any country, city in the United States that you have to, and this is non-ideological. How did that happen? How did that happen? And at a certain point, I don't think the average person cares as much about abstractions as about the concrete reality of his life. And if you can't use your subway, for example, as many people are afraid to in New York City because it's too dangerous, you have to sort of wonder, like, isn't that the ultimate measure of leadership? And that's true, by the way, it's radicalizing for an American to go to Moscow, I didn't know that, I've learned it this week, to Singapore, to Tokyo, to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Because these cities, no matter how we're told they're run and on what principles they're run, are wonderful places to live.
So I guess you put in 10 rubles here and you get it back when you put the cart back.
Bro, they have that at all these. But as you guys can see, the lecture is that Tucker giving Nick the platform really, really rubbed Ben the wrong way. It chapped his booty, and he didn't like it. All right, he felt some type of way about that. He really wanted to make this a whole scenario where he could go off of, okay, well, Tucker's supposed to be my friend, and he's platforming, Nick Fuentes and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, you guys are part of the same crew, no?
The interview is limited by a couple of factors. One, it was done by remote through a translator. That's always awkward. For another, I don't speak Persian. And there are all kinds of questions that I didn't ask the president of Iran, particularly questions to which I knew I could not get an honest answer, such as, was your nuclear program totally disabled by the bombing campaign by the U.S. government a week and a half ago? There's no chance he's going to answer that question honestly. I didn't bother to ask it. The answer, in fact, from an American perspective, even from the CIA's perspective, is unknowable.
Tucker bizarrely worships at the altar of Qatar.
They're mad at you because you don't put your parents in some institution. Maybe they're trying to break up your families.
Well, it can be a reason. Honestly, I don't know what is really the purpose behind this.
So as you can see, Ben is very strategic about showing that Tucker is aligning himself with the Islamic State, and that, somehow contradicts kind of what he represents, but it's like none of you guys really stand for anything, bro. You get paid by Israel to push it pro-Israeli narrative. So how does that even, how can you call one out when you're doing the same thing on the back end? And that's my thing. These guys are all hypocrites. They're all doing the same thing to each other, but they want to act and show to us like they're exposing one another when we already all know what's going on. Like, you guys aren't surprising anyone. You're going to try to expose Tucker for, having alignment with, Saudi Arabia and Iran when you have alignment with Israel. Like, bro, you guys are doing the same thing. The hypocritical nature of this is the fact that both of you guys are aligning yourselves, but then at the same time, you want to act like you're, showing us something where you're trying to expose somebody. It's just ridiculous. Like, you guys aren't slick, yo. At the end of the day, like, both of you guys are corrupt and you guys are both losers. And the fact that you guys are all selling yourselves out and then you're saying that, oh, this person is less, he's less of a this because he sold out to that. And it's like, bruh, all you guys are fucking puppets, man.
But we see that, a lot of things that are happening are attacks on humanity in general. It's when you lose the family value, when you lose the connection between the family themselves, you will lose the connection between the people as well, on a broader level, on the people in the same neighborhood, on the people in the same region, in the same countries. And that's basically will just make us, as individuals who are quote unquote independent from anyone, that's what we will feel. Yet it will just make our societies vulnerable and easy to be penetrated.
That's right.
Tucker Carlson praises Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro, even as Maduro keeps the entire country in communist penury and ships fentanyl into the United States to kill Americans by the hundreds of thousands.
See, and this is important, guys. You see how Ben is, like I say, he's trying to keep aligning Tucker with all these other factions when in reality they're all attached to something. Ben is not completely independent, like he doesn't represent Israel and has no ties to Israel. It just would be a lie. So that's why it just annoys me every single time I see this guy keep pointing out, oh yeah, this is what, this is what he's attached to. This is what he's attached to. Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, and it's so lame because it's like, dude, like, you guys literally are not slick about how you're going about this stuff, And then so now you have Nick Fuentes, who was talking about Erica Kirk and what happened with her and Jdvance. And then now after that, there's a whole thing about that. You know what I'm saying? So we're kind of trying to figure out what's going on with I don't know, Erica Kirk, and what's going on with Nick Fuentes and Jdvance. And so I'm gonna bring up another video here. This one is by, let me make sure I credit my brother correctly, AT2. Great channel. I enjoy his channel, always bringing some cool commentary. I think he is also a Black American brother, so salute to him. But yeah, he's pretty funny and I like the commentary, so let's listen in.
I think I need therapy because why am I agreeing more and more with Nick Fuentes every single day? I have an issue. I have a problem. But let's go ahead and check out this clip of Erica Kirk talking about Jdvance and comparing it to Charlie Kirk. It's very weird. And also, we're going to check out this clip from Nick Fuentes from a couple of days ago. And mind you, everybody has now been talking about how Erica and Jdvance possibly got some kind of thing going. Y'all, it's weird. Let's go ahead and watch this clip together. Here we go, you guys.
No one will ever replace my husband. No. But I do see some similarities of my husband in JD and Vice President Jdvance. I do.
That's nasty work.
And that's why I'm so blessed to be able to introduce him tonight.
All right, man. Y'all don't think that's weird? That's weird, man. That's weird that your husband just passed away, viciously unalived at that. And then you on here talking about this man that reminds you of the man that you was just married to. Like, what? Yeah, that's kind of weird to me, man. I ain't gonna hold y'all.
Because He understands the fight that we're up against, and he can articulate that in a way that transcends race, that transcends demographic backgrounds. He's an amazing man. No one will ever replace my husband.
Nick Fuentes is right about something. This lady is a plant. She didn't give a damn about Charlie. Let's get into it, y'all.
That's facts, man. That dude's funny. I like him, bro. He's tight.
Now, we're going to go ahead and do a reaction to this clip that I seen from Nick Fuentes where he basically calls Erica out for being a plant. And we have been saying this for, well, hell, since Charlie Kirk passed away. The way she's moving and everything like that, and how MAGA and Trump are so involved with Turning Point. And it's just weird. It's very weird. She's not moving like a widow.
I agree 100%. I've watched, extensively, trying to really, give it some time to see, how she was going to move after this. And yeah, man, she moves like somebody who's just, kind of social climbing. I ain't gonna hold you, like somebody who on to the next one, whatever that next step may be, whatever man she gotta, align herself with to get to that next level, she's willing to do that. And that's a dangerous person to be associated with. I ain't even gonna lie. Like it's very, very questionable behavior.
And let's be honest, how is a widow supposed to move, right? Everybody grieves differently. But they don't grieve like this. I can tell you that. Let's go ahead and get into this clip, you guys. Here we go.
Skeptical on Kirk being killed by Israel. Yet Erica Kirk's mom worked with Homeland Security and DoD. Her father a chairperson/president for Raytheon Israeli Limited. Easy to find online. This same division that coordinated with Lockheed and built the Iron Dome. Now she is PUSA. Watch it become a pro-Israel advocacy group.
Dude, it is a pro-Israel. What are you talking about? What do you think Turning Point is? Do you think this was the Institute for Historical Research? Was this the Charles Martel Society? Is the Stormfront? Iron March? This is Turning Point USA. It is a pro-Israel advocacy group. What are you talking about? Were you?
And that's it. Nick is really smashing the gas on that pro-Israel time. And I think a lot of the base, a lot of those people who are a part of the right wing are very, very much in line with that. They don't like what's going on in Israel. They feel like America should have nothing to do with that. We're spending billions of dollars that we should actually be keeping right here in America. And we are feeling some type of way about the fact that so much money is being spent out of our hands and not going back into the American economy. And so, yeah, Nick Fuentes was smashing the gas on the pro-Israel plants that are within the right-wing community, specifically Turning Point USA. And that's a big part where Turning Point, I feel like they're already compromised, of course, but now I think Nick has changed the minds of that base to, manipulate them to come towards his side, because a lot of people are questioning Turning Point in general after what happened to Charlie. You know what I mean?
Born yesterday? That you guys, that's the part I can't get over. So you're skeptical about Kirk being killed by Israel. Now his wife is taking over. Watch Turning Point become pro-Israel. Dude, they were Zog headquarters. He's coaching Lord Netanyahu on how to rape America with propaganda. What are you talking about? If Turning Point wasn't a pro-Israel outfit, what is a pro-Israel outfit, huh? That's crazy.
All right, so this is who we dealing with, guys. Nick is gonna keep it real, man. I mean, I don't like the guy at all. I find him to be very repulsive and just super ignorant and like obnoxious for sure. But I think when it comes to kind of the infighting that's happening right now between him and Jdvance and Ben Shapiro and Turning Point USA, of course, his beef that he originally had with Charlie Kirk is hilarious to me. I find it hilarious. I think this is a part of what happens when they have no one else to blame. You have nobody else to blame on this, man. Y'all chose Trump. Y'all thought that he was going to do what you said he was going to do. and he's doing what he wants to do. All right, because Trump don't give a fuck about nobody except him and the billionaires. So when you're looking at it from that perspective, it's hilarious. Like I said, it's hilarious that these guys are fighting amongst each other, because all it does is make me keep my eyes on them the way that you should keep your eyes on them, right? And being super, super mindful of how people are in this, economy. And not only that, this economic, nest egg that we're in right now that's about to explode. You feel me? Real talk. So yeah, man, I just wanted to hop on here, a quick stream, talk about this. Like I said, we just staying consistent. We're gonna keep building throughout the week. Hey, shout out to all my new subscribers who, paid attention to that new video I just dropped. Make sure you guys keep running up the numbers on that. I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you guys subscribe if you are not. I'm Brandon B. I'm gonna be here, you feel me? Probably much every day this week. I'm gonna try to get in at least one live stream and dropping videos throughout the week. Definitely gonna be live streaming this weekend, so keep an eye open for that. We got some good boxing coming up here as well. Be dropping some videos about that Jdvance Davis, Jake Paul fight falling through. So yeah, make sure you guys stay locked in with your boy. I'm Brandon B. and Lee Media, man. I'm out. Peace.